Hello everyone, this is TLO here, back with some more Wings of Liberty action. Do not be confused, this is standard Starcraft 2, not the expansion. We do have TLO up on the top right side. Gonna be going up against his opponent, Mouse Mana, down at the bottom left side. Now, Mana's actually been on Team Mouse, I think, for a long time now, which is kind of refreshing considering how many team swaps, how many teams come and go, and to have players who actually stay on the same team for a long time is quite impressive. Now, you may be wondering, Husky, why are you casting Wings of Liberty? Well, there's several reasons. Number one, because Heart of the Swarm is just around the corner. It's only about 2 months out before that game is released, which is actually kind of crazy that it feels so soon. Because, honestly, it doesn't feel like it's going to actually happen. But, you know what? Blizzard hasn't pushed it back yet. I imagine they're already printing them discs, shipping them out, and getting ready to begin the launch of Heart of the Swarm. So I kind of wanted to celebrate a little bit, celebrate with all of you. The glorious game that is known as Wings of Liberty will be no more. Of course, it will transcend into greatness with Heart of the Swarm, I have no doubt. But, you know, for now, let's just sit back, kind of enjoy the last games of Wings of Liberty, and especially what better way to celebrate it than how it all started, which is with games with TLO, and Mana has been around for a long time too. We definitely shouldn't count him out, and we absolutely should not count him out of this series. I was looking on the earnings websites out there. Mana has made over $90,000 playing StarCraft 2, so no matter how you slice it, that is not bad. That is a lot of success. That is a lot of won tournaments. That is a lot of tournaments where he has placed very highly, and in this tournament, it could be no exception. Right now, this stage of the tournament is past the group stages, so exactly half of the players have already been eliminated, and these players are in the top 50 percentile. As it is the first round of the bracket stage. So it is going to be a best of 5 between these players. TLO actually doing surprisingly well in this tournament, going 3-2 in his group, which doesn't sound good, but considering in his group he had Grubby, Moonglade, Snoot, Tarson, and a Korean player named Dream, that is not bad at all. That's competing with some of the best foreigners there outside of Korea, and to get second place in that group is very impressive. And the Polish player Mana, well, he got third in his group, but with the same win-loss ratio, 3 wins, 2 losses. His group was a little bit easier, but it also had a couple harder opponents in it. So overall, it was more difficult to rank high, but it was a little bit easier to rank in the midfield. In his group was Parting and Lucifron. Those are the players who got ahead of him, who both of those players are doing insanely well right now. And the players he was able to best were Bly, Teffel, and Siphon, who I'm not too familiar with. Bly I'm a little familiar with, but the rest of the players I haven't really known too much about, as we do have a third base going to be coming down for Liquid TLO. We'll see if he has any shenanigans played, or if he's just going to be going for the early third base here, which is completely standard versus the Forge, you know, expand here for Protoss, and Gateway going to be on the way. Not quite sure where the Cyber Core is going to go. I guess either back here, which would be kind of weird. I have seen players drop it on the high ground, maybe right there. But either way, Cyber Core should be finishing up right after the Gateway. He's going to throw that down, and here is the second gas from Mana. Completely standard stuff right now, and really you can learn from this Protoss players is based on the gas timings of what your favorite player does can help you in your build timings hugely. And the reason I say that is because razor-thin timings for Protoss defense are absolutely vital. Protoss can get away with a few slip-ups if they're doing an early aggressive timing, just because they can kind of warp things in, use Chrono Boost to get the warp gates to go ahead and fill up that supply timing. But the defense can be so huge versus someone like TLO who's going for 3 bases, but that still leaves a lot of openings here for some pretty crazy timing attacks. Note that there's no gas on the way for TLO just yet, as he is continuing to make drone after drone after drone, so he's going to be relying on some pretty Gosu scouting, which I think that this Overlord has basically spotted everything. Yeah, the only thing is, oh, the Cyber Core is going to be on the high ground as opposed to on the low ground, so the unit pathing will really favor the Protoss here, so he can swing back and forth to defend those locations much easier. But it is kind of susceptible here. If an army ever runs by and they happen to spot it, they could snipe it from the low ground. Not sure if that's going to be playing a big role here or not, because you know, at the end of the day, you have no idea how long a game is going to be. Is it going to be 15 minutes? Is it going to be an hour? Is it going to be 5 minutes? It can be anything in between. That's personally why I love StarCraft, is because, you know, one mistake at any point throughout that game can end up costing you the game. And the more I think about it, which I know this is something I've given a lot of thought to already, and I know you guys have as well, but it's just kind of mind-blowing to me how good StarCraft players actually are. Like, if you think about it, playing at the highest level, one misclick can end up costing you, you know, $10, $20, $30, $40,000. How does anyone work under that kind of pressure? I have no idea. I have a theory that everyone who plays StarCraft is actually some sort of android. Flash, for sure, is not actually human. There's no way he is 100% human. He is at least 50% cyborg, because the rate at which they play this game is insane. But right now, Stalker going to be moving out. I don't think there's a way for him to spot this on the high ground. Remember, there is no mothership core. You remember that unit from Heart of the Swarm that we see almost every single game to be able to kill this Overlord? Well, it doesn't exist yet. So these Protoss are kind of living in the past, man. I almost feel like these Protoss are living on a third world planet where they just don't have the newest fancy toys at all, and they're really kind of forced to have to build things like Twilight Councils and Observers, as opposed to awesome things like Tempest and Mothership Cores. So we'll see exactly how he decides to play that out. The Overlord there, we'll probably spot it for quite some time. This Overlord, though, almost able to spot something valuable. He was able to see 2 of the gateways, which that doesn't tell him too much other than his opponent is adding on 2 gateways. However, I'm trying to think, does TLO have the Gosu sense to know that a pretty crazy timing is about to hit him? It looks like right now just spotting those 2 gateways was not enough for him to be able to basically map hack his opponent's base, because he doesn't know the exact timing here. We do have an Observer moving out. I think a Probe may be following this up here relatively soon. And we do have the Immortals now beginning here as he does Chrono Boost those out. The Warp Gates are done. Is he going to be doing a Sentry Immortal all in off of 2 bases? It is such a strong build. It's kind of like the Protoss version of the 1-1-1 in this matchup, in that it's really good. It's very difficult to stop if incorrectly scouted, which unfortunately for TLO so far, he has not been able to scout. It looks like the Observer will get taken out. So nice little victory there, but very minor. And my neighbors are vacuuming. They always vacuum when I cast it. It's so hilarious. They probably ate me. Anyways, back into the game as it does look like a Sentry Immortal all in. This time, though, a few Gateway units going to be added in. A little bit lighter on the Immortals and a little bit heavier on Stalker, Zealot, those kind of units right now. Did he attack his own unit there? That was kind of weird. Maybe it was just a Zergling who died immediately, but it does look like maybe he's going to go ahead and go for an expand right now, as TLO does have some Zerglings here to be able to spot. This could also counterattack should some probes transfer down there a little bit early. And TLO also going to be going for a lot of Zerglings right now, and is going to be working on +1/+1, which is actually nearly done here, but that's going to be at the same timing as the +2 for mana, so he's been dumping a lot of Chrono Boost into that +2 attack. He could even begin +3 right away if he was feeling so inclined, but I think what he's going to actually do here is continue to warp in more reinforcements, make sure he can protect this expansion, and although going for +3 would be pretty sick, especially since he does now have Blink on the way, as +3 attack Blink Stalkers, you can just win outright with those if controlled correctly, and more Stalkers are on the way. Is he going to be +3 started right away? Looks like the Warp Prism's on the way, so that's most likely going to be no. TLO losing just a couple of Lings here and there. He does have a lot of Zerglings overall. He wants to try to engage this army directly. Oh, realizing there's way too much there. Those Lings would have been absolutely slaughtered. He was trying to get the army out of position, though, to get a pretty sick flank. And right now, what TLO is doing very well is keeping the Protoss player in his base, which is exactly what he needs to do here, because he's already up to 5 bases of his own. So if he can buy any amount of time whatsoever, it's going to play a huge, huge role. The Immortals saying, hey, guys, wait for me. But there is a lot of Zerglings here ready to counterattack. There is going to be the Zealot right now. Gandalf saying, you shall not pass. I don't think these Lings are going to be able to run into the main base. TLO for sure will have to sacrifice a base. Nice pathing there on those drones with the good force fields. Got to be able to clean up those drones, and that's a lot of drone kills already. TLO is expecting to be able to save those. So right now, TLO is actually going to be in a lot of trouble here. Does he have Overlord drops yet? Yes, he does. He's got to try and drop directly on the sentries with Banelings. I don't know if he has enough units here, but he is desperately going to be trying. Already long distance mining here because he has way too many drones after losing that expansion. So he's got to try and fully saturate that base. And TLO got to be going a little bit early here with the Overlords, but it looks like he's got to try and make it work. Unfortunately, the split from mana a little bit too ridiculous. The Lings, though, do get right into the thick of things, but a crazy amount of force fields is got to be able to hold that off. Unfortunately, I think TLO had the right idea, but with the Spire on the way, without having enough units on the field, and with losing that expansion, it may be too little too late, especially with the drop inside the main base. Got to be doing a lot of damage here. So the multitasking here from Mana, even splitting up his units to reduce the amount of damage dealt by those Banelings. A great play here. I feel like we're watching a TVZ as opposed to a PvZ, just because Mana's control is looking top-notch this game. This is a lot of APM for any Protoss player to have, and warps him in right there, blinks away immediately, again reducing the damage, funneling the units with force fields there. So again, the Baneling's not able to go where TLO would have liked, so a little bit of micromanagement here, and a little bit of poor decision-making from TLO is unfortunately going to be costing him this game. Now remember, it is going to be a best of 5, so he is definitely not out of this series yet. Drones pulled off the line, but unfortunately, even if he kills this off, it's just not going to be enough. Going to be unloading the Immortals on the high ground here, just giving them more and more free kills. That's a lot of Zerg units, though, and the problem is that even if he cleans this up, I mean, look at this, he lost his main base. And anytime you lose your main base as Zerg without much of a backup plan, that's going to be very troublesome. And actually, a lot of units inside the main base here still blasting away at the only mining base that remains from TLO. There is a poop storm raining down upon these drones, quite literally from the Overlords. But I guess technically this base is mining, not very many units there. This one as well, not very many units there. And the Lynx right here can't even get a decent surround because they're just going to be running up against the wall. And at this point, though, I think Mana's just ready to go. Could kill off the rest of these buildings. That's exactly what he's going to go and do. TLO should attack right now with the assistance of the Broodlings. But there's the GG. Game number 1 going to go very decisively there to Mana. And I got to say, I think TLO had a slightly off read for that game. Number 1, the force fields trapping those drones. If he was watching those drones, I think they would have been able to escape a little bit more effectively. But more importantly, going in a little bit early with those baneling drops ended up not really working out in his favor. What he wanted to do was wait until he had all of his armies, send them in all at the same time, and send the Zerglings in at the same time. The reason is because the Zerglings will most likely get force fielded when they're running in, so they're probably not going to be doing a whole lot. But you got to remember that Mana is running against a timer. There's only so many things he can do at once, and so if he's busy force fielding his units to keep the Zerglings out, then really, number 1, he's trapping his units, and number 2, he's not able to split up the army as well, thus making the banelings kill off all the sentries. If you take out the sentries, you can really just make a lot of anything, whether it's Roach, Hydra, or Zergling, to clean up the rest. But taking out those sentries is absolutely vital because guess what? Sentries make the Protoss army much more efficient, but if you mess up the force fields, then you end up losing. But that wasn't the case here for Mana in this game number 1, so let's go ahead and go on to game number 2, see if TLO can pull this one back out, or if Mana's going to continue his march to victory in this best of 5. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.